Hi there, it's Denise from Managing Salespeople and New Manager Secrets, and also communications for salesmanagers.com. And as we mentioned in the last video, we're doing a series on some of your challenges. We're calling it the Sales Manager Challenges series. Very original, don't you think? And this is the first video on motivation, and we wanted to cover here the subject of motivating a sales team, particularly to improve performance. So let's have a look at some of the challenges that you probably face on a day-to-day basis within the organisation you're working in, whether it's your own organisation or a large one that you work for. The first one, probably at this point in time, if you've got some challenges in your team, there's not an awful lot you can do about selection and recruitment. I think that's for another time to talk through that, because that is the key, one of the keys to building a high-performing team. And I'll tell you a brief story. A number of years ago, I was incredibly lucky because I got to build my own team. So it was all down to me, and I have to say that was one of the highest performing teams that I've ever had the delight to manage. And we launched a product, and we're actually I think over 130% of target in our first year. So well, hey, that was fantastic. What else? Ambiguous goals. I once had a manager that said to me, Denise, just do the best you can. What exactly does that mean? People respond in a much more proactive and enthusiastic way and focused way if you give them a specific goal. So if it's, you need to have made X $1,000 or pounds by the end of the first quarter, then that is a realistic goal, and people really focus on that. It's all to do with human motivation. What else? This is what can create a lot of issues and a lot of challenges. And what we're going to do, actually, we're going to cover this in a lot more detail in the next video. But appraisal and reward can be a can of worms if you are not aligned with your staff and you don't know what to do. What else? Lack of engagement, and followed very, very quickly by lack of management skills and what I call the sheep dip, which is really treating everybody the same, which we think we don't do, and yet the number of training courses I've been asked to deliver where everyone goes through it, whether they need it or not. So let's explore this a little bit more. Lesson number one, and I don't think you're going to like this: you can't motivate anyone. Now, I hear you screaming, why can't you motivate anyone? Or maybe you're not, maybe it's just me. The reason why you can't motivate anyone is because of what motivation is. Motivation is the reason for an action, that which gives purpose and direction to behaviour. So this all sounds a bit jargony, doesn't it? What does that actually mean? Motivation is what drives you to behave in a certain way or take a particular action. Now just think about that one for a moment. Think about some of your team members. It's your why. It's why you do things. Your why is a strong reason you, or more importantly, a member of your team desire something. I'll tell you a story. At the moment, I am going on holiday in literally a couple of weeks' time, and it's been quite a while since I've had a holiday, and we're going to Thailand, which is going to be fantastic, and we're going to get some sun and nice times and lots of nice food to eat, and I am incredibly motivated to lose some weight to get back into my shorts. Now that is my why, that is my motivation. So someone saying to me, Denise, you might need to lose a few pounds, isn't actually going to work. It works because I actually want it. It's my reason why. Let's have a look at a couple of examples. Now these are old members of a team that I used to manage, and I've changed the names obviously, but let's look at Anita's desire. Be a sales professional. Good desire. Now, why does she want that? So what's her motivations? To learn and grow. It's amazing, you'll have all, I'm sure, interviewed a number of a number of new representatives that come along, and they just really want to meet people, and they want to learn, and it's fascinating, isn't it? To have my own car. This particular lady was fascinated in the UK, and I know it can be a bit different in the US and other parts of the world, but in the UK a lot of people get a company car, and how good is that? Fully financed, to meet new people and to get promotion. So just consider that. This is what switches Anita on. Now let's have a look at Graham. Now Graham's desire is to be a sales professional, just like Anita. What's his whys? To have a regular job, to be able to look after his family, to have a professional standing in his local community, very important to some people, to be safe. Maybe you could say not the classic profile of a sales professional. However, I know from old teams that I've managed that a lot of the guys that you manage, these are some of their fundamental drivers that they have. So what's going to motivate Anita and Graham? Do we think it's the same things? Well, I can tell you for a fact, because I manage both of these guys, that they were two incredibly different motivators for the two of them. Definitely not the same thing. Oh, just snuck on me there, that bit on the PowerPoint. So, your job is to find out what motivates your staff. Why? Well, this is probably the highest leverage point any sales manager can have. I don't know if any of you know about a chap called Bill Barton, who's a billionaire and a fascinating guy who's made and lost a couple of fortunes in his life, and he has some really great ideas on how to motivate salespeople. And one of his things is you must make sure that you really focus on them as individuals. So it's a really high leverage point. It'll help you and help them generate sales when you're not there. It also will increase the impact and value of sales coaching. Now, we've mentioned to you guys that we're going to produce a product quite soon, actually, in the next couple of weeks on sales coaching. And it's going to be pretty unique, because most people have to go along and have a sales coaching course, and they cost them a huge amount of money. We can understand why people do that, because this is one of the biggest leverage points that you will have with your team in being able to coach them. And sales coaching particularly. But the thing about it is, if you can tap into your team's motivations, then it really impacts the way that you can coach them, and really takes it to a completely different level. The carrot and stick approach is very short term, and it won't continue to work. And the other thing about motivating your staff, well, it's what exceptional managers do. So motivation is actually quite simple, though it's not always easy. So where can you start? Well, first of all, don't ask people what motivates them, because you know what? They don't tell you the truth. And it's not that they're lying to you, it's at an unconscious level for them. And we'll talk through a little bit more about this as time goes on, about how you can actually access that unconscious level. Talk to them, engage with them. They're part of your team. Treat them like one of your best customers. I bet when you were out selling, you knew everything about your best customers. Well, this is exactly the same when you're motivating people. Listen, really listen to their answers, and you'll be amazed at what information that you get. Give them individual attention, because that's some of the best use of your time, and it'll create amazing rewards for you. Anyway, that was just a snapshot for you. The next video is going to be coming along in a few days, and we're going to cover off particularly the appraisal and reward, which I know for some of you guys can be one of the great challenges. So we'll speak to you soon. Take care then.